Okay, let's see where we left off. Here we are back in our Hello Toast project, and we've now set up the UI. So we have a button, we have a text view, and another button. Next, we need to clean up a few things and add some code. So if you look over here, in my little component tree view, it shows a little warning. It says hard-coded string toast should use string resource. Well, let's fix that. Go back to our text view, get it, text view, of the code, and you'll see the same error. It's saying, hey, this should not be hard-coded. Well, the reason for that is because we want to make sure that our text can be easily modified without having to go through every single code file to search, find, and replace. It's just bad practice to do that. The other reason is so that you can localize your app, meaning you can support multiple languages. So how do we do this? Well, if I click within this toast and I press Alt, Enter, or Option, Return, and then I get a context menu that says Extract String Resource. So when I do that, then it presents me with the ability to create this resource. And what we want is to have a resource name. So we're going to call this button underscore label underscore toast, and then the value is toast. So we click OK. Let's do the same thing for this one. I click within the text, then I press Alt Return, Alt Enter, or Option Return, and then I press Extract String Resource. For this one, we're going to call this button label underscore count. And we have the resource value of count. Click OK. And then finally in our text view, let's click that and change this, extract string resource, and we're going to say count underscore initial underscore value. And the value is going to be the letter 0. Go ahead and click OK. Now, where did all that go? Well, if you remember, we've looked at our values folder. Inside the values folder is a strings folder. Well, there you go. Look at this. We have our button label toast, button label count, count initial value. This is required in order to create new localizations, meaning you can support different languages, written languages, and so you just translate all the text and then it updates automatically based on the user's operating system language that they've set. So this is really the best way to manage it. That's why it warns you, because you really need to be in a habit of extracting these resources so that they can be easily maintained. Okay, now what we've done is we've got all of our texts. Next, we want to add some code in order to make this do something. In order to do that, what I want to do is within the text view of my XML file, in this button, right after the last little quote, I want to press return, and I want to start typing on click. Notice it auto completes, and I want to press tab. This is a button handler, a click handler that says when this button gets pressed, call this method. And the method that we're going to call is called ShowToast. So we're going to say ShowToast, and let's go to this next button and press return, and we're going to say on click and then press tab, and this one is going to say count up. Okay, immediately there's a little squiggly and there's a warning, an error, because this doesn't exist. It says, well, what is this? Where is it? Let's add it. Let's go to our main activity class, and within the class declaration, right after the onCreate method, go ahead and add a few returns. Let's give ourselves some room. We're going to say private void, and the name of this method, which is ShowToast, and that's going to accept a view, so capital view and a space, and then lowercase view is the variable we'll reference, and then open curly brace, and it automatically completes. Let's do the same thing. We're going to say private void count up, which also takes a view, and there we go. Now, you may not have noticed this, but when we added this view class, it updated our import statements, and there all of a sudden now we have a view. When a method gets called by a click handler, it passes a reference to itself saying, hey, I'm the one that called this method. In your code, you would reference this view in order to do something against it. That's one way to handle it. We'll do that in other videos. For now, I just want you to understand the reason we need to have something in our method is because it's going to pass something to the method. And if you're not ready to receive it, and you didn't have this view listed, then it would crash because it would be expecting something. Okay, what do we want it to do? Well, we want it to show a toast. Well, what is a toast? A toast is a class that allows you to present a message to the user that is shown on the screen and then it fades away over time. Toast messages are good for things that are temporary notifications that do not require interaction. So there are other ways to show like alerts that say, you know, click OK or click cancel. This is different. This is for a short, you know, saying this is done, this is completed, this action has been done as a short little reminder. You've probably seen it already in other apps. So how do we do that? Well, first we need to create a toast reference, a toast object, and we're going to say toast, oops, and I press tab. Notice it updates the import statements, and then it's a toast, and the variable name is toast, and we say equals capital toast, and notice dot make text. So go ahead and tab. Now it's going to ask for a few things. It wants context. Well, the context is this, meaning this class file is the context. This is the class that is calling the toast, saying show the toast in front of me. Next, we need a string, and the string we're going to refer to is called r dot, and then we say, what we're doing is we're saying go to the resource folder, and then within the resource folder we want a string, and within the string file we want a toast message, and it's called toast underscore message. We haven't written it yet. Then we press comma, and then it says duration. How long do we want to show this? Well, if I do capital toast, there are some constants, and one of those is length dot short, or length underscore short. So that's the one I want, and then we're going to close this out with a semicolon. Now, a couple things we got to fix. Toast message doesn't exist. If I click that and then I press Alt Enter or Option Enter, guess what? I can create a string value. Android Studio is very helpful at making coding so much easier and valuable. The message is going to be hello toast with an exclamation point. Awesome. Go ahead and click OK. All right, now that's there. Now notice this little warning. It says, hey, you created it, but you haven't shown it. Well, let's do that. Right after, we're going to say toast dot show. Whoops. Save. Okay, let's go ahead and run this and see how that goes. Now, if you have your device, you can connect it over USB and run this on your device. I don't have any devices connected. I'm going to use my emulator, and I've already created a few virtual devices. So I'm just going to select that and click OK. This will launch the emulator, and here is our app. All right, let's go ahead and click Toast. And it crashed. Ooh, that was fun. Let's figure out why. Why did it crash? Someone's probably yelling at the screen saying, Brent, I know why it crashed. I know why it crashed. And I'm going, why? And I can't hear you. Let's do something. Let's debug this. Notice up here on the options I can do this little debug. Let's go ahead and debug the app using the emulator. Oh, I know why. I didn't read my instructions very well, and someone was probably yelling at the screen the whole time. I'm sorry. You should yell louder. I'll hear you next time. I want to stop this. I know why. And it was already showing an error, and this is why. Private method is never used. It's not supposed to be private, it's supposed to be public. My mistake. Let's fix that. Go ahead and choose public, and guess what? The error went away and it works. Sorry about that, but at least now we know. Okay, let's try it again. Let's just run it right. Normally we'll know. It'll work now, I promise. All right, let's take a look. And toast. Yay, it worked. Toast. Hello, toast. Let's see that again. Hello, toast. Now, if I press count, nothing happens. Well, nothing happens because I haven't put any code in it. Let's fix that. Let's go ahead and stop that and go back to our code. Okay, we're going to do a couple things in order to increment a counter. One is we need to create a variable to reference a count number so that we can increment the count and update the text view. We also need to reference the text view in order to change its value. And to do that, we're going to create two member variables. One of them is called private int, and it's going to be, what do we call that? mCount. mCount. Now this variable we're going to initialize so that it has a value in it when the app starts. We're going to say mCount equals 0. The next thing we want to do is create a private text view, and we're going to call this what did we say? ShowCount. mShowCount. Now, when we have this variable, in order to reference it, we need to assign the variable the value of the text view so that when you call it, it responds to anything that you call it. In the onCreate method, this method gets called towards the very beginning of the life cycle of the app, and you can initialize the UI elements. And one of those things we're going to do is say mShowCount equals, and then it's going to be a text view. Whoops, that's not what I meant. I keep pressing the wrong buttons. I'm using a different keyboard, and it does a different shortcut. So text view, now press tab, and we've already got a reference to it. And we're going to say find view by ID. Now, what is the ID? Well, if you remember, we've assigned an ID to the text view. To get to that, we need to say go to the the resource folder to the ID, and it's going to be, remember, it's show_count. Okay, now we have a reference to it. When we call the countUp method, we want to do two things. One, we want to increment the mCount, so we say mCount plus. Okay, so let's use this. mShowCount. Oh, first, what happens is we want to change the text, but we need to make sure that the text view exists when we go to change it. So we say if mShowCount is not equal null, then you can do something. So then we say mShowCount.setText. We want to set the text to the mCount. Now, mCount is an integer, but we want to set it to a string. So the text says use integer.toString, and then we pass in the string, which is mCount. And we'll go ahead and use that. Now, this says number formatting does not take into account locale settings. Consider using string.format instead. We'll look at that another time, but for now, this is what the tutorial source code, the course says. So we'll just go with that, and it still works. Okay, let's go ahead and run this, see how it goes. Okay, so here it is. Let's check our toast message. Hey, it still works. Perfect. What about our count? Hey, look at that. Count. Yay, it works. Perfect. All right, you did it. Very good. So let's recap real quick. We have a bunch of elements on the screen. we've created a layout file, and we are referencing them in code. In the code, we have a count variable, mcount, that we increment, and then we update the text view with that value. We have a method called ShowToast, which allows you to present a toast message, and we're using the toast class to do that. We've used string resource files, we've changed styles, mainly to fix a bug, and then we've identified where the colors are that you could change. So thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe and check out the next video. I'm just waiting for you to subscribe. Thanks.